very fascinating narrative of syncretic cultures. I just had a doubt. I wanted to ask you if there was a very strong difference between Sufi traditions and Sufi cultures and Muslim traditions and Islamic cultures. There seems to be that in the north and in elsewhere wherever there are settlements, even in as far as Hyderabad or Bijapur, or that sort of syncretic practices. Have you observed any of that? Is there a difference at all, or is it all mingled into one?
No, Sufism is a part of Islam. So it is even widely practiced here. The film that you saw is actually originally 56 minutes. So there are 3 other Muslim towns I have omitted, which is I need to cut because of time constraint. And Kayalpatnam and Pulikat. In fact, Kayalpatnam, you find the celebration of the Sufi mystic order. Jailani is mystical. That is celebrated. So it is a widely prevalent thing in Tamil Nadu also. It's part and parcel. There are places where there's a conflict, the Wahhabism and all that, but it's very widely prevalent even here.
Mr. Anwar, I remember you told that Tamil writer Sujata's writing prompted you to search for the identity. Is it? Can you explain it in more detail here?
No, it's not exactly his writing that led me to the search. My search had started much earlier. See, when I came to Madras, the problem is, the moment people hear my name, they'll start talking to me in Urdu. And I also come from a community that was very much in the forefront of the anti-Hindi agitation. So we prided ourselves so much in Tamil, and it used to be, I used to tell them that, sorry, I don't know Urdu. And I used to get chastised. What sort of a Muslim are you if you don't know Urdu? I had to tell them that you don't need to know Urdu if you are a Muslim. And how do you read Quran? That's in Arabic. And it's also translated in Tamil. So I realized that, there are so many stereotyping of Muslims. So whether I liked it or not, I had to confront this. So that is how I started my search. And then what led me to this whole film was that it's not just stereotyping. Over centuries, the history that we are having today, what we are learning, is mostly inherited from the colonial masters. We have not really made much changes. There are Romila Tapas and many of them are doing work. But still the popular narrative, you always say Muslim invasion. But if you look at it, the Central Asian armies, the Turks, the Persians, they still have Christian communities. They have Jews. Baghdadi Jews are very well known. But if you look at Spain and Portugal, which came for colonizing, it started on a papal bull. The world was divided into 2 parts, and one of the stated objectives was conversions. We never call them as, with the prefix of the religion. But unfortunately, these Central Asian societies, Turkish societies, which still continue to have that, diversity of religions among them, they are just being referred as Muslims. And with the invasion, you are also invoking all the negative elements, rape, pillage, plunder. So this is a poison, that has been kind of, put into our soil, in our mind. And unless that is erased, that is dealt with, we won't be able to. That's what is creating a problem today. And I confronted Sujata on something like that, which was written without much evidence. That led me to a whole lot of seminars and all that. And that's how the film started.
Mr. Anwar, படம் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கிளாஸ் விஷுவல்ஸ் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. லாங்கர் வெர்ஷனில் ஏதாவது இந்த இதெல்லாம் பற்றி இருக்கா? இந்த பிபி நாச்சியார்னு ஒரு லார்ட் கிருஷ்ணா மேலே லவ் வந்த ஒரு பொண்ணு, அது மாதிரி ஒரு வெர்ஷன் இருக்குல்ல மைத்தாலஜியில், இந்த துலுக்க நாச்சியார்.
Almuli asked the question that whether the Tulka Nachiyar tradition is there in the longer version of the film. See, there is so much. My film is just offering you a glimpse. And it has taken me 4 years, so much of research and all that. I've not been able to. There's so much more to accommodate. Every village will have this sort of a kinship, this sort of a relationship. Almost in every village in Tamil Nadu and probably South India, all over India, you might find this. So Tulka Nachiyar, I have not added, but there are 2 other communities which I have added, which is the Naidus. Telugu-speaking Naidus address Muslims in southern Tamil Nadu as Mama Mapla. It's vice versa. The younger, if the younger is addressing the elder of the other community, you'll call them as mama, and it will be, the youngster will be addressed as mapla. That continues even today in southern Tamil Nadu. And another most interesting interview, another thing I've added is Jody Cruz, who got this year's Sahitya Academy Award. And it's a very fascinating interview, mainly because Jody Cruz represents a community, the Pardava Christians. And the reason why Pardavas became Christians was because of the local Muslims. They had a fight with Muslims, and for protection, they went to the Portuguese. And Portuguese said, we'll give you protection if you become our subjects. And how do they become subjects? You convert. And that's how they converted. St. Francis Xavier was sent, and about 40,000 people were converted. And then 30,000 people were converted in about 2 years, and 40 churches were built by him. But over a period of time, there were clashes. The Portuguese on one, along with the Pardavas, Muslims and the Dutch and the Nayaks, the local rulers on another side, there were clashes. But at one point of time, the Pardava chieftain realized, there's a long history, I'm just cutting it short, realized that you can't be continuously, fighting, warring. After all, the Portuguese will come, next the Dutch will come, after that the East India Company will come and go. But the Muslims and Christians and Hindus have to live here together. So at one point of time, they came into an agreement where they'll address the Muslims as Chacha. Chacha means, maternal uncle, and paternal uncle. Chittappa Chitti, that is the relationship. So he talks about a Muslim man in his young age when he was playing, an elderly Muslim man just walks into his house without even looking at anyone in the house, straight away goes to the kitchen, helps himself with a meal, and then after the meal is over, he goes to sleep in one of the verandas, and then he gets back, after he wakes up, he leaves without talking to anyone. And then the most interesting part is his grandmother goes and serves him water, And then he comes to know that when Joe came to question these things later, he was told that Muslims have this relationship. They can walk into any Pardava home, and their women, they address them as Chitti. So they can, with all right, they can ask the Chitti Chapadu Podunga. And they don't even need to ask. In many places, they'll serve themselves. That's the kind of relationship that exists.
I know we have more questions, so we can keep the... please, the lady on the second.
Yeah, thank you very much for that very intriguing presentation. I'm here. My question is really in the way you have invoked the notion of the Dravidian expressions, particularly related to the architecture. When you use the term Dravidian, it seems to be implicit that it's somehow secular for you, outside of the Tamil and the Muslim identities that you make references to. But Dravidian expressions have also problematized Tamil identities, particularly in the way they have invoked caste relationships in Tamil Nadu. So, perhaps could you clarify as to how you're thinking of, using the entanglement of Dravidian identity while you're trying to reconcile Tamil and Muslim positionalities of yourself? So, when you use the term Dravidian, what is it for you and how does it invoke being Tamil and Muslim?
I'll just tell the reason why that term Dravidian came into being. Unfortunately, we lived, and I spoke about these increasingly troubled times. And the troubled times is that, a lot of it is shared. So you build a temple for Shiva, you also build a temple for Allah. But today, if you say that's a temple for Allah, there are enough people with crowbar and other things, ready to demolish it. The term itself has become, difficult. So, in fact, there's a friend sitting here from this town where you saw the fabulous mosque, Kirakarai. And there are beautiful, all over Tamil Nadu. It's not just one mosque. Tamil Nadu has thousands of mosques there. That's the most fabulous mosque. They are known as Kallupallis. There are thousands of mosques there, right from Pulikat and Kovalam, you'll find these mosques. And so we need to rework something. With today's time, the word temple associating with Muslims has become a dirty word, which can become problematic. So we thought of something, and then we looked at the architecture as a common Dravidian architectural style. That's how we came to that term. I realize there are problems in it.
I'll throw in my bit now. I recollect a conversation with Ganapati Stavati, a late Ganapati Stavati, and I asked him about this because Jain iconography is also mentioned in the text. So he always told me that he's a Shakta, not in a religious sense, he's as a creator. To him, all objects that's created are equal. And he was relying extensively on certain textual practices and motifs. So, the creators actually look at it a little more elaborately different. Sriram.
Anwar, a couple of days ago you mentioned about the Islamic traces of Santhom. Could you just share it with a larger audience? The Shonagar Street and, things like that.
In Santhom.
In Santhom, yeah. See, this history is all around us. So, in Madras, if you go to Foreshore Estate, like we talk about this thing of Sonagan. So, you'll find in Pulicat, there was a Sonagar Palayam. And in Foreshore Estate, there's a Sonagan Street, which has now been corrupted into Jonagan Street. And there is a 13th century inscription which was found in Mylapore, which also deals with that trade group, Anjuvannam. So these are the kind of associations. So, and also for Madras itself, there's a thing that is Markayar Patnam, that became Madras Patnam. That's also there. I really don't know, but the thing is the Marakayas, they are the seafaring lot of the Tamil Muslims. And even Marakayas at one point of time included the Christians also. So today it is stuck with Muslims, which is the predominant community, that deals with things. So Marakayas are all over the coast. So probably there was a Marakaya settlement nearby.
You said that you're being chastised. That means already certain changes are taking place where this old mixed culture is being marginalized, which is happening everywhere. What is this pattern? And can I quote an Indonesian writer who said, I am the indigenous people of Aceh, I am the Hindu of Bali, I am the Muslim of Indonesia, and I am a world citizen. And Amartya Sen says the multiple identities is very healthy. If you narrow down to one identity, you become narrow and dogmatic.
No, I totally agree. In fact, some of you might have thought, what is this thing about Madurai and what is a dancer doing? And, for me, I'm also a Madurai man. The multiple identity, I'm not just a Tamil, I'm not just a Muslim, I'm also very proud about being a Madurai man. And that dance is Karagatam. That is how we have seen Karagatam. Unfortunately, today in our very westernized, with the Victorian moral attitude, Karagatam, here, it's, the women are fully clothed. It's completely different. You don't really get to see that original Karagatam in Chennai. We are actually giving up. I don't know. But these are things I still want to connect. And your point, I totally agree.
Anwar, I am Syed. I speak Urdu at home. I just want to meet the gentleman who said, you speak Tamil, are you a Muslim? I just want to meet him. See, I just want to meet the gentleman who asked you, you speak Tamil, are you a Muslim? For that man, he hasn't traveled around the world. Okay? See, people in China are Muslims. They speak Chinese. So, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, my question is this. Being a Urdu-speaking Muslim, I have a belief, we believe at home that you people who speak Tamil are more religious than us. I am telling you this fact. I don't know whether you know about it. Very punctual, very prompt, very religious. Okay? With all modesty, I would like that you please spread this film to as many countries, as many places. So it's just not Muslims alone. As world citizens, as human beings, we all live together. Thank you.
Thank you.
The gentleman there with the check shirt.
Yeah, Mr. Anwar, I just have a small... see, I've also lived in a village called Kliyanur where most of them are prominently Tamil speaking. There, many of us who, during their childhood or something, they go out to Singapore, Malaysia, and they lose their education. What exactly made them to do that? Even today, many of them are trading either in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, or most of them are working in United States of, Arab of Emirates or wherever the Saudi nationals. What made them to do that? Why Tamil Muslims are keen on doing it?
Because you have a tradition. These connections are very old. Aceh, Indochina. What is spoken about is only the Nagarata and Natakota Chettias. You go to Indochina. I was in Penang, And major thoroughfares are Tamil Muslim thoroughfares. The biggest mosque in Penang is a Tamil Muslim mosque. So you have mosques in Saigon and all over Indochina. So this has been a connection that has existed for centuries, close to a millennium. So it's just a continuation of that connection. That's how I see.
Prasanna.
Yes, Srivatsan, you spoke about Ganapati
Stabati,
speaking something about Vastu Marabu, right?
Yeah.
What was it? I couldn't get it fully, please.
No,
can you say more?
No, this question about the Dravidian architectural style, because Pushpa's question was about the Dravidian architecture itself is problematic, and how can you exclusively say it's Tamil, etc. Now, I was just kind of giving another point of view from a sculptor's point of view, who always thought that as a secular practice. He never attributed anything religious to it, and though he called himself as a Shakta, not in a religious sense, but as someone who kind of evokes and uses energy. So from a creator's point of view, architecture was outside the scope of the religion, even though it evoked religion in different ways. The lady behind.
What do we do about people who are against this syncretization? Who want to forget all this and make it a kind of pan-Arabic version of Islam. How do we fight that?
No, I think that kind of a thing exists across religions. It's just not with Muslims. We have to admit that there is a Hindu right, there is a Muslim right wing also. And everyone has to realize that Muslim right wing doesn't represent the majority Muslims. I see that in a lot of journalists, when they want to do an interview on Islam, they go to the right-wing people. And the majority, I would say, in Tamil Nadu are aligned with or behind the major political parties. There are communists among Muslims. I mean, among the Muslims, there are communists, there are atheists. They belong to all political categories. But unfortunately, the media and others somehow, because the right wing is always the most vociferous, and immediately that's taken to be, and that's the biggest problem. We have to dismiss lunatical right wing for what it is, and that should not be taken.
Thank you for comparative religion. A Muslim is always a Muslim. Whether it's a Telugu Muslim, Tamil Muslim, Dalit Muslim, there is no Muslim. A Muslim is always a Muslim. That we should basically understand. The concept is the one.
Okay, that's your point. Yeah.
So that's it, and thank you for participating in the discussion. Thank you, Anwar.
Thank you.